Alright everyone, welcome back to another Python video. In this video, we're going to be solving the factor finder problem, but we're going to be also practicing some of our skills using Git. So right now, you're seeing my GitHub. I have all these solutions from our videos that we've done where we created many Python programs. And what I've done is I've made some fixes to the 17th video, which was the factorial calculator, but we're going to be working on video 18 where I just initialize an empty Python file. Basically, I just wrote the question name and I did a little solution brainstorm to help us initialize this file. And what we're going to do is, instead of working on this file directly, we're going to be creating something called a branch, where, like, if we were to consider this to be something that is main, it is something that we don't want to touch yet because it's working, but I want to run some testing code on it or make some changes without affecting this file, but rather I want to create like a sandbox where I can try out a bunch of stuff, and then if I do like the changes that I've made, I can then merge that changes from this branch into our main branch. So let's see how that works. So I'm just going to go into my VS Code, and you see my code here, okay? And I can just show you my Git status. All right, we're on a branch called main, okay? And in our previous video where we're working with the terminal and Git, we were directly working with main. But in the real world, in industry, you don't really want to do that. Most of the time, your senior developers or a project manager will often create branches for a developer, and then you'll be assigned to work on that branch. And if your solution and everything that you worked was great, then they can actually look to review the changes and I guess the changes that you have, I guess, put up for changes, they can combine that to the main branch so that the main branch can have your good code, or sometimes it can get denied for issues that's been reviewed by someone else, usually a senior developer. Okay, so what we're going to do is to create a new branch. We're going to go git branch, and you're just going to write a name. So we're going to say here, we're going to call it one of our solution. We're going to call add input. All right, so I've created a branch. All right, and if you want to see all the branches that are there, there is a main branch, there is a solution2 branch in our Git, because I was actually testing this, and we also have our newly created branch called add input. And what I want to do is, instead of working on my main, as you notice is highlighted green and there's a star, it means that I'm currently, like, just like I saw on Git status, our current workflow right now is working on main, but I want to change my workflow to point towards add input. So we can say we're going to check out add input. All right, so we have switched to branch add input, and I can see Git status here to say that it says I'm on a branch called add input rather than main. Awesome. Now we can do changes here, and we can be now working on this branch that we've been assigned where we have to add input. Okay, so let's read the solution as well. So for this question, which is called factor finder, we're going to be given an integer, assuming that it's going to be greater than 0, and then we're going to print all this factor. And what I like to do is just do a little brainstorm. When my problem starts to get a little harder, I like to break it down into parts that I need to do. So first thing that I thought of I need to do is, well, I need to get an integer as a user input. Okay, because that was one part of the solution. And then, well, I need to figure out that I need to somehow generate numbers from 1 up to user input, because I think I need to analyze them, because I need to see if any of these number generators are considered factors. So how to do that was, well, I thought, well, if that number is divisible by the generated numbers, right? I'll just fix that here. Generated numbers, we have a factor, right? And if that's true, we're going to print out that number. Okay, so let's do our number 1 first. Okay, so I'm just going to copy that over and then say that, hey, that's going to be, well, we're going to have a value user num. We're going to write input, enter an integer greater than 0, like that, boom, and we're going to trap that into an int, and we have that set. So I'm going to save. Here on our console now, I have made some changes, right? If you want to run the program and see what happens and see that it works, we can say that Python from video solution, I'm going to be running vid18.py, and I am able to add a number or enter a user inputted number of something greater than 0, hopefully. So if I put 12, it doesn't do anything yet, but we were able to input an integer. It is working as intended. Therefore, we could say that, well, Git, we're going to add this file. We're going to say add vid18.py. Oh, sorry. We're going to go, it's a video solution. Okay, so we're now tracking that, and we can say commit added a working integer input. That's going to be a message for my commit, and we have done work. This is great. At this moment, I'm just going to show you git status. We're on this branch of add input. We have made our changes, and we have done our commit. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to go back to main. So if you want to go back to your main branch now, right, I'm going to go get checkout. You're going to use that and the name of your main branch, which is just called main. And you're going to notice that this is going to change here. So, right? It has changed. We have made errors in our comments, and we actually wrote out this comment again and wrote a proper working input, and those are all gone because our main's not affected. We literally took a snapshot of this version that we had in our main, created a branch from it, and made changes to that. Okay, so if we're to get status, it says there's nothing. We have done our job, and we can now ask for the good branch where we had added a really nice integer based user input, and we can add it and put it to our main now. So to add the changes that we have made in our branch called add input, and if you want to see your branches again, we have that add input. We are on the main branch. Okay, so because we have checked out main, what we can do is say git merge and give and provide the branch name that we want to merge from. Okay, and it's going to go fast forward. We have added it all. We have one, and we have successfully added the changes from our branch called add input, and we now have that in our main. So if we do get status, we're on main, right? Our branch is ahead of origin main by one commit, so we're gonna now git push, right? We made changes, so we're pushing this to our GitHub, and now we should be able to see the changes that we did here, where we have edited the comment on the add input branch, and we have added this user input from the add input branch. So let's see our code. All right, this was our original starting point where we were on our main, where we just initialized, and this is going to be updated. All right, we added a working integer input. This was from merging, and we were able to add this line of code in. Okay. Sweet. So we did that. Now we can create another branch. We need to generate all numbers. So instead of working on the main, we're going to say git branch. We're going to create a branch called make numbers. Okay. And then to get to that, we're going to go git checkout make numbers. I'm going to clear. We're going to do get status. We're on make numbers, and we're going to be working on this number 2. Right, I need to generate all numbers from 1 to user input. Okay. We can say that we want to do something like, well, we can do create a variable called divider is equal to 1 and go while our variable divider is less or equal to num. We're going to say print divider is divider, and then we can go divider plus equal 1, end of while loop. Okay. So I used a while loop here. I've initialized a variable outside of it, and I want that variable to at some point make this while loop condition false. Okay. And I'm assuming that right now our divider is less than equal to num so that we can actually run this. It's going to be printing our value of our divider before it changes and increases by 1, and then we go back up here to check our condition again, and so on, so on, so on, and we get to continuously print the changing value of our divider. Okay, so let's see how this code runs. We can say Python, go into my video solution folder, and then run vid 18.py. All right, so if I were to do 12, we get to output videos 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and we have found a way to generate a all numbers from 1 to num, which is what we wanted, 1 to user input. Okay, I'm gonna go check out back to main, and okay, before we go and get check out main, what we forgot to do was say git. We're gonna add our changes, so we're gonna say vid 18.py, and this was from our video solution. All right, and we're gonna go git commit. We added a while loop that generates numbers from 1 to user input. Okay, so we added that change. Now we can go git check out main. All right, and now we don't have our changes anymore because that was only in our branch called add. I believe, what was it called? Branch. That was called make numbers. Okay, now we can create another branch. Right. I'm gonna call it make num2. Okay, and we're gonna go get checkout make num2. Okay. Now at this point, I'm going to create another way to generate numbers from 1 to num, which is far superior, in my opinion, in terms of Python programming. Okay, so what we're going to do is in this branch, we're going to say we need to generate all the numbers from 1 to user input. We can easily say for, and I need to create a label for the iterating variable that a for loop uses. So I'm going to call that divider. And this divider is going to represent some values in a sequence. So I need to create a sequence. I'm going to use the range function because it's a generator function that generates integers. Now I'm going to specify the numbers that it should generate. I want it to start from 1 and go up to num plus 1. The reason I do a plus 1 there is because, well, it never includes that last value. So by adding 1 to it, we get to include the variable num. And then, just like we did before, we can say f. We can say divider variable is divider, period. And here we don't need to even put a divider plus 1 equals because we have already generated it all. And then the for loop just has to go over and over and over again, loop back, and just change the pointer for the divider to point towards a different number in our range function where it has generated all these numbers from 1 to num. Okay, so let's test our code. We can go Python video solution vid18.py. Okay, if we do 12, we're going to get a really nice output, but we have used a for loop instead, and it's not instead of using a while loop. So we're going to go git add. We're going to add this video solution vid18.py, and then we're going to get commit, created a for loop number generator. Cool. All right, so we're back at our main branch. So if we were to say that we're going to go get branch, and we have these branches where we have already merged the add input to our main. We also have make underscore num2 and make underscore numbers, right? And they had different solutions for our section number 2. If I were to say get checkout make numbers, right, we are here where we have added this while loop version. And if I were to do get checkout main, we would get back to our integer as user input. But if I were to do make num2, we'll get our for loop solution. So Let's say that we like the for loop solution better, so we're going to keep that in there. So let's merge that. So we're going to go back to check out main, and then we're going to go git merge make num2 to make and save those changes. Okay, cool. So we have these changes now, so we can say git commit added new changes from make num2 branch. All right, so we can say that we can now do git push, and now this change should be available in our GitHub. So let's go to our GitHub. So in our GitHub now, we have video 18, and we should have our for loop ready. Awesome. Let's go back to our code, and we're just going to finish our code here. So in our VS Code, it's going to clear. We're going to make our one final branch. So we're going to say git branch. I'm going to say final edit. Okay, we're going to get checkout. Final edits. Oh, it's not a valid branch name. I didn't see that error. You shouldn't have spaces in your branch name. We're going to go check out final edit. Boom. Okay. So what we're going to do is do number 3 and 4. I'm just going to copy that over right there. Okay. So our divider variable is that. And now we're going to check following. So we're going to say view wrap. So we're going to say if we're going to take our value num modulus by the divider, and it's equal to 0. Actually, we don't need the brackets there. All right, so right now what we're saying is if we have this value variable num, if I were to divide it by the variable called divider, and if I get a remainder of 0, we have a factor because the num is perfectly divisible by this divider. Then we can say print divider is a factor for num. We'll output that message, and we have number 4 completed. So this is a very simplistic factor finding problem. So what we can now test our program. So we can go video solution / Python vid18 .py, and if we did 12, we'll generate all these numbers from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, but we get to output that 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12 is a factor for the number input at 12, and that was our solution to our factor finding problem. So we can say that git commit, we'll git add video solution vid18.py first, and then we'll do git commit completed the solution. All right, and then we will go get checkout main. All right, we want to merge the contents from that branch that we were on, so we can go git merge from final edit. We have now edited our changes. Then we can go git push, and now our changes should be on GitHub. So we can go here, let's refresh, and we have our solution. All right, so today you have learned how to use a for loop to generate numbers, and you kind of got to see the a version with a for loop and a while loop a little bit. I do suggest that if you like the for loop solution, try this on your own and really think about, well, how can I use the while loop from the original branch, the first branch that we created, and how can I use that to do this solution as well. But as always, thank you for watching, and stay classy.